Good morning and happy Friday, guys. It's the end of the week, so we're going to run through some levels on the charts, maybe talk a few alts here and there. And then, I did a Friday night live stream last week. I think I'll do another one this week. So we'll probably do an altcoin live stream later tonight. It went over well. So, yeah, we'll hop right into price and we'll take a look at what's going on there. Bitcoin, same levels, guys. I try to really emphasize that I wouldn't say this is still technically all the same range, but the levels are what they are. We were looking for this move up through this box here at the previous week high and weekly open. You can see it was support and resistance here very nicely. And then we came back to where 23,402 was the level I gave you guys. This was the box. We'll just extend it over as it did do its job. It was also the gold pocket right here, if you recall. So just high to low, this local impulse right here. Gave you a nice gold pocket, gave you this 23,402 level, which was your initial high when you came into this region of the chart. And you've noticed that I've actually made the 22,810 level much, much thicker. So it's thick with a couple different C's in here. And the reason I did is because if you go out to the daily, this really is the most important level. It still remains that. And what you will notice is this is a level we've not closed below on the daily in quite some time. Going back to the 26th of January, we did talk about this several different times, not only on this stream, but on other people's streams. We've mentioned that this 22,810 level is just absolutely key, and it's going to remain that way. So if you are closing below this on like a daily basis, I think that obviously we have support here at the previous week low and this, soon to not be the previous week low, but in this 22,407 6M1 key level. However, if you start losing 22,810, I'm just looking all the way down here to where like your monthly pivot is and these other high time frame averages there. So I would be looking for that move if 22,810 is lost. That's really short and sweet. That's how we're looking at it. Otherwise, this is the plan for me still looking for this. Sorry, I was tinkering a little bit last night in the group. Hide that stuff. It's just not necessary. You can see we are at resistance. So you know me, I'm never going to tell you guys to buy at resistance. You're going to hear me say that over and over and over again. But this is the target for me over the coming weeks. Still looking for this next leg up to this zone. And that's going to be a pretty big inflection point. So nothing has changed on our macro time frame, right? We've got our levels in front of us. I do think that, you run the possibility here of potentially swing failing a high, right? We could easily take this last local high here into this 24,297 or 24,7 level before making a bigger correction. However, the timing of that versus this, right? So now that we're into February and we're really only 2.5, 3 weeks away from this box, Bitcoin, in my opinion, if we're going to hit this box at the timing that I've given, it's really running out of time for that big correction. And I think everyone's still waiting on that, larger correction down to like 20K. And even myself, I just look at it and go, well, if that opportunity comes, I would love to trade that. I'm still sat in my long, so I'm happy either way. But this is one of those where it is leaving people sidelined. I know people are probably getting the feels from back here for that. And I do think that the issue with that is I think if you saw a move like this where it did go, fairly high, you run the risk of coming back to a low like so later in the year. Covered that yesterday on Debate Crypto. That if we're going to see that, retest of the lows, it probably comes later in the year. So that's a conversation for later in the year, but we'll kind of like prep ourselves for it now. So is one of those things where still looking for this box. So in the short and medium term, we have a nice local range right here to play. You can see the weekly open is going to be kind of a key area to hang on to. It's been support several different times in this previous week high. So this little like $200 box right here was that $222 box. Very nice number. Is going to be very, very important to flip. If you flip this, I think that you'll at least take this local high and probably challenge this 24,297.50 level, maybe even as high as 24,7 over the weekend. That would be a nice little push up, and we'll see what we get after that. I'm not necessarily looking to push to 25,200 or 26.5 over the weekend. However, it doesn't have to do what I want. If I were timing this out, which you guys know I like to, just like I was doing in 2021, this is the way I would like to see it go. And you can see it is respecting the parabola quite a bit, which is nice, or the sign line. And that would just imply that we're coming up to this zone right around the 23rd of February or the 27th of February. So, if it just continues to grind up, that would be fine by me. So just trade the levels for what they are. Understand that this is a range until it is not, meaning that you've got shorts to take and longs to take. Just make sure you're on the right side of them. Yesterday, this was the key level you were given, right? This 23,402 and the gold pocket. This offered you up several trades over the evening, including a little washout right here, fully into the level. And when we look at this on a local basis, so if you were day trading this, I believe this would have happened this morning. Yep, during the New York session, you've come down, you've made a low, you've then swung, failed the low right here. So this is your trigger, okay? Just from a market structure standpoint, you don't have to do much else from here. Order flow is obviously always going to be important. I'm sure Max will want to talk about that, but you've now effectively swung, failed your local low, and now you're expecting it to do what? Probably push back into your daily range and rotate it in full, which I'm actually unsure where that is. So at least on TradingView anyway, I don't have XO up on this tab, so I'm just going to pull it here. Yeah, you've already gone straight through it. So, yeah, it's on its way. So, I don't really have much else, man. I'm not saying it's a boring day by any means, but it's one of those where the levels are what they are. There's not much else to cover that's new. We've pretty well run it down for people so that they know what to expect. The only thing that would really get me excited is if we start breaking back up this box and like holding it as support, making that push up, or move back below 23,402 into 22,810. That would also get me somewhat interested in price for like a fresh position, in the sense of, am I looking for a new long? Am I looking to scalp this level, whatever it may be, right? So that's really it. The easy trade was this zone given yesterday. So Max, I will turn it over to you, and I'm going to pull up Algorand and a couple other altcoins I've been working on.
Sure. Okay, so today has been rather slow. I'm going to interject there. When Magic said, it's not been a boring day. It's been rather slow. It's not been the most interesting day. I think we've just been spoiled as of late. It's the way it goes. But the moral of the story today has been, patience. You got to wait for your levels. Now, what this low where we came down to, we were lingering around this single print for a while. I'm going to close this level now because that's where we bounced from yesterday in the middle of the day. And then today we've kind of just made our way through it, and we've now fully closed it and came right down to the golden pocket. All these people that were buying up here, I would say they weren't that patient. And you can see in the charts, on the bounces that we were getting, you were having a lot of buyers coming in. You can see the open interest climbing, the delta climbing, it's a lot of people buying. And when you're just, another $100 away from the level that you really want, sometimes it does pay to, be patient and sit on the sidelines, because they were all absolutely wrecked. I don't know how many people in the group were watching this live. I've not really been 100% trading today, but I was watching this in the corner of my eye when it was going, kicking off. It was a very fast, aggressive move to the downside, and it, had a lot of volume. 73 million is insane on a 5-minute candle. Crazy amount of people wiped out of their positions there, and it's just everyone that was buying in this region of the chart. As soon as they've seen this little move up, they'd have all put their stop losses below here, and they all got absolutely wrecked. Open interest really is sorry to go on a tangent here, but like open interest really is the key when you're trading futures. Like the more that I look at it, and today, in particular, if you wanted to trade this region, okay, where are you going to buy in? You buy in when the buyers come in. You buy when there's open interest increase on positive delta, okay? And that's the one you would have wanted from the level. And then at the top here, you're getting people buying in a place, and you got to think like, is this a good place to buy? You're at the resistance for the day. You're at the what was the value area high for the current profile. You've got to think like, it's not really. And then, if they get wrecked, they get absolutely destroyed, all taken out of the market. That's why it pays to take profits. I say it time and time again. If the hardest thing in this market is to take money out of it. So if you're in a winning trade and it goes your way, take a little bit out and be happy. People don't, and people get wrecked. It's just people just don't learn. So when we say, take profits early, we all do it. So, I know most people that I know that trade do that. So if you're not taking profits early on your trades, do so, and don't be like these guys that got absolutely wrecked in one candle, because it can happen. And then, the areas we came down to the golden pocket. It's really been a case of a delta switch up. Now, I like the 1 mil for this. It does, if I can find it, it's rather clean. If you bought anywhere in this region on the charts, you're going to be happy. As long as you didn't put your stop loss just below the low, you're going to be comfortable in that trade. And you can see really the huge negative delta that we had coming into the region, loads of people getting taken out. And then you can see buyers found interest here. So when you have a particular level, such as the box, which Magic mentioned earlier, on your chart, go into the order flow. And when you come into that level, what you want to see is, are people interested? Because if they're interested in buying in that region, okay, chances are it's more likely to hold than not, because people are then interested in buying in this region to then push price away. If you get to the area that you're looking for and you don't have any interest, that's why order flow is good, because then you can hold off on the trade and then wait to find some buyer's interest and then jump in on it. And you could have got in here, or you could have got in on the SFP, which would have been the better entry. But either or, to be fair, would have been pretty sweet, and you'd been laughing right now, because it's been a very fast move up. However, it's not the strongest move up. You're getting buyers up here again, and you have to ask the question, is this a good place to buy? We're above the high. I think we've now failed what was the day high. We've now failed it. So the lower we come, these, they're actually down here. These guys here, you're quite way away actually. But this isn't a strong move up then. If you're looking at this, you've got really positive delta, 8.6 million, on open interest that doesn't quite match. So that kind of tells you that there's been some positions changing hands up here, which means that there is someone building a big short. You've also got the finished auction at the top there. Yeah, it's not the strongest move up. It's definitely not the strongest move up. But as you come into the levels and you've analyzed that, the move up is weak, and you've got a setup in the region, that's when you can take the trade. I really don't have an updated chart to go and pick apart. But yeah, right now I would be certainly not jumping into a short just yet. But I definitely won't be buying. If you've missed it, you've got to just sit it out now. I will say you've got, if I put them marked on here, you have got above you the previous day point of control, which is untapped and very near to the previous day VWAP close. It'll be a big area of resistance if we can get there. So that's really where I would be looking. And it's also the month value area high, even though it's only a couple of days in. But the fact you've got the previous day point of control, the VWAP close there, there's a lot of levels in this region to look for resistance. So if you see the rejection, which arguably will front run everything now, but if we move it again back up, this would be the area that I'm really looking at to potentially take a short before the SFPs that Magic mentioned were to occur. But yeah, there's really not much else to go over today. It's been a rather balanced day until the last couple of hours. But yeah, I'm pretty much done, Magic. So I can just see him scrambling to find his tab.
Yeah, sorry, I was on Trading View, and then when you said that, I knew I was muted. I was like, oops. Yeah, big oops on my part. So yeah, no, thank you for covering that, especially the low, kind of like letting people know that not only can you guys map these levels out in advance, this is what you want to see when you get there. That's what we're trying to put together for you guys, is so you can put together what I'm telling you, and then Max is going over exactly how you spot your entry once you get to those positions, right? It just leads to a higher win rate, and it also teaches you to kind of have a system and learn what you're looking for. So That said, we're going to look at Algorand. Now, this is going to be a little bit different in terms of style because I don't use order flow for alts. I primarily just use macro swings because it's you can use order flow for sure, but I use macro swings in terms of my positions. I only trade alts on the high time frame. I rarely day trade them anymore. I did a little bit of updating to this chart last night. So this was a chart that we were looking for this box right here. Oh man, for almost a year. And it came down to this zone at about 27 cents over the summer and was pretty happy with that, but still kept the conviction that we'd probably see the lows here down to 15.42 cents even. So it did not quite hit that target, but it did fill out that box pretty nicely. It hit 15.98. So really nice move. Now we need to see where we're going. And so straight away, when you're looking at this, you can see you've got local highs up here. You could say that my true resistance is probably coming in somewhere in this region, right? We don't want that one. We want the ellipse somewhere right here. You can see this is where your weekly resistance is at. However, you can also see this is also going to be an area of interest through just seeing that there is weekly candles starting to settle up in this. So if you go out to the monthly, again, you're seeing at the top of this box here, about 35 cents, give or take, is going to be where your resistance is coming in at. And then we go to the 3 month, and the 3 month is, as always, clean as usual. Normally, I would mark off this wick right here at 41 cents. However, I'm not going to in this instance. Main reason being is that we actually have some key levels that come in there already. So we don't need to. We already have a clean level there, and it's the 12M1 from 21, which was a really important level on the Bitcoin chart. And it's also a really important level here on the Algorand chart. So if you guys recall, prior, I had a box that was between, I had mapped off about 50 cents all the way down to here. And I said, this is going to be your macro accumulation range. It looks something like this. Yeah, about right here was the macro accumulation range. And you can see it gets things fairly well, but we don't really need to do that anymore because we have levels that are now statistical targets that kind of map that out for us. So we've already hit our Q1 pivot right here, 26.2 cents. Pretty important little inflection zone right here to get back above. You can see that we've been struggling with it. It is your quarterly and your 6 month average. So that is going to be an important area to clear. And if we do, I would expect to start looking towards more of a high time frame bias at this point. You know, looking at our last 6 month range here, you can see this is your value area low, which we're coming into right now. Where's our point of control on this? It's all the way up here at 33.78 cents. We have a global POC at 31.42 cents, which I don't think has changed. Nope, sure hasn't. So still a target for me right around that 31 cent region. And it makes sense why we're finding resistance here. So if there is a pullback, I know that these are likely to be revisited at some point. Same with the annual range right here from 2022. You can see that's also going to be your POC here. So 30.79 and 33.78 cents. You've got a very high probability of revisiting this area. There's a lot of volume that's been done both on separate time frames and on the macro scale. So for me, still holding Algorand, looking for these zones. And, you know, if you got in this box and you're patient, it's, you know, that's 100% move off the lows. So I will be looking to take some profits there for sure. And honestly, I do stand with this one that if I was going to see something like this, very well could happen. We talked about this. So I think I deleted that structure range, to be honest with you, which probably shouldn't have, but I'm going to go ahead and redo it. So just looking at the structure here, you can see that you've got one here. Then you start breaking down. What is candle here? It looks like a good impulse down all the way till we start impulsing out of it. And the last closure inside the range was the guy right here. There we go. So there's your range. You can see that you've come in and out of this range quite a bit. Get rid of this global point of control for just a second. You've come in and out of this range quite a bit. You've come as high as 76 cents, all the way back down into where the 21 cent low that we've identified. So larger accumulation range, you could also see a series of higher lows and a pretty large push up. So if we were to see something similar and this were to range around down here and put in these higher lows and give us a move like that, it'd be really important to have the appropriate levels marked on your chart, meaning you could see moves as high as 52.2 cents and 81.16 cents, and that's over time, obviously. So this move right here took place from March after the Rona dump all the way up to August. So that was a move that took 5 months to take place, but it did take place. Just like right here, you've made a low, you got a really nice push into where about the 50-cent region. So on this move right here, if it gets out of hand, I would really just mark this local high. If I was, someone that was like, I'm going to swing trade this as long as Bitcoin's looking good, traditional markets are looking good, maybe we get that pullback later in the year. How high can this go in the meantime over the next, 3, maybe 9 months? Yeah, I mean, I would just be marking these highs and understand that you have a tapped quarterly level right here at 52.2 cents. That would be a big area for me if reached. And so this is all very hypothetical because right now I'm still looking for 30.79 cents, right? So that's still what I'm looking for. But if I was looking for a big rally, kind of like this right here that did her previously before I'm not saying we're going to make a new low on Algorand by any means, before we had our big sell off back into the range, I would be looking at 50-cent mark for that to really be taking place. Take these local highs. And then just as we discussed with some of the other coins that we've talked about, like what a bigger range might look like in terms of, accumulation, you could look at something like this, right? You could say this is probably going to be my range. Oh, I don't like that as much. Let's see. Let's do, yeah, about like so. I would say this would be more appropriate then of looking at what we're looking to accomplish. You could even drag it down if you wanted to the lows, but more realistically, something like so. And you would be looking at, yeah, this is how I like it. This would be a good one. Let's see here. So got a really nice, well-respected EQ. You've got your deviation to the downside here. And you now have a high where you could deviate out of the range and come back. And so this is how I would trade it. I would just keep in mind that our local targets are always going to be the ones that have priority. And for me right now, looking at Algorand, I want to be accumulating under 26 cents given the opportunity is actually not a price. And then I'm looking to sell into this region on some of these pumps. Again, when I say that, guys, I just mean you don't have to sell everything, take profits, look to buy back in lower, have a plan, that's all we're doing, and remain patient. And just understand that if that occurs, if we get a move over time where it does do something like this and we get up into this region and it starts coming back down, where do you think the biggest support is going to be? Where all the volume was, right? So this is going to be a big target for us right here in the center of this range. So that's how you want to segment this whole asset off. And you want to make a plan of, okay, if I'm buying low and selling high, what is high and what is low? So here you can see support, dropped around for a while, tried to get out of the range, established a range high, established a range low. Now we're coming back there where all the volume was done. Okay, so we're going to revisit the area. And if you get through this little zone of 30.79 up to, we'll call it 35 cents because that's that quarterly level we just talked about, we're going to start looking for that push to 50 cents. 40 cents is going to be a hiccup. Then you've got 45. Obviously, you can just segment it off, but I'd be looking for quarter 3 at that point as a backfill. But that's well and far away. Right now, we need to focus on this area of the chart, see what we get. Because if you come up here, you reject, you lose 26 cents, you're probably coming all the way back down to the low of the range, maybe even 21 cents at that point. So we're buying into this resistance when price can just first and come back to support again, where you could have had a better opportunity. So this isn't financial advice. I'm just telling you guys how I'm going to be trading the coin. So I've already taken my positions, obviously. I've been pretty vocal about this one on Twitter. Been vocal about it in the group. I've given the box the zone I'm looking to buy. Now this is kind of how I'm going to be covering it. So I've got a really nice idea mapped out here, and ideas do fail. So just remember, that's why I'm going to be paying myself right here, and then I'll pay myself again if it goes higher. But if it gives me a second opportunity at the low and the markets look good, I'm also going to be taking advantage of that. It's just plain and simple. We're buying low, we're selling high. We're just wash, rinse, repeat. And whatever you do with the profits that you make is up to you. You can reinvest them in the asset, or you can, you can do whatever you want with them. You can go spend them on something, go buy yourself something nice, right? So that is Algorand. I don't think that there's any others that I really want to cover right now, because I am going to do more of a high time frame overview of some altcoins this evening. I know I owe somebody in the group, I can't remember who it was, but I owe them Filecoin. So I'm going to put together Filecoin we cover some of these so frequently that it's one of those things where I don't really know that I want to get too far into them, but I will be looking at some of them again going forward. One thing I do want to look at is Tesla, because I haven't looked at Tesla. Not that we cover Tesla a lot on here, but we do sometimes. Yeah, look at that. So Tesla hit your X pivot, right? And I leave the levels on the chart for you guys. Hits the X pivot, which was our first zone from this right here, if you recall. Like, how clean is this? The PCZ, target 1. Absolutely crushed. Now we're looking for the 12M1 and we're looking for the B pivot, and that's where you get this box. So we're now looking for area of the chart, and it's going to be a fun time. So Tesla absolutely crushed. And look at the back test on that. That's beautiful. So not much to offer there. Let me go to the chat, see what's going on there before we hop off here. Max, do you have anything to add before we get out of this one? No. All right. Kind of an impromptu stream for the end of the week, guys. The levels that you've been given are good. If you have questions, as always, leave a comment on the videos, and we'll try to get to them the best we can. But have fun this weekend. Go out and do stuff in real life, guys. Don't forget that the market will be here on Monday when you get back. I know Max is probably going to go do something. He always has. We live vicariously through you, since you live in a place that's actually fun, and you're still young, unlike the rest of us. We're on our last legs at that middle age mark. So
I live in the city by the beach. It's the best.
Thank you, Joshua. And can we look at magic? Magic. What is magic? Not trying to hedge, nothing. Too many of us beginner retail get punished for trying different strategies. Keep it simple. Meta's price action makes any sense from the TA side? Thank you. Cheers. I have a chart on Meta, actually. I'll look at it before we go. You guys always get me with that one. That one I always have a chart on. I mean, does it make any sense from a TA standpoint? You came into this 12-month level right here, and your next level was $72. So, ironically, Gareth had asked me when it was coming into this region what I thought of Meta, and I said, I think you could buy here for sure. I was like, you just have to be prepared to buy down to about $72, in my opinion. It was a good buy. So, tech companies are pretty beat down. When we look at tech in general, how far down it's been pushed, you're going to get like a bear market rally. And if the SPX is pushing up, which it should be, these are going to follow suit. Yeah, SPX is pushing, looking for this to still come into this box, right? So I would be looking at Meta. Well, I mean, I don't do a whole lot of Meta analysis, but your big ticket here was the reclaim of this level. That was actually what I was on about with him, was once you reclaim 128.56, I mean, you're probably coming up somewhere in like the 225 region over time. If I had to guess, that would be where I'd be looking for this one, because this is going to be an area that's defended. The trend really was strong right here in this weekly candle specifically. Go to the monthly again. So in simple terms, without even looking at anything, there's probably a big old single print in this candle somewhere. And you can see that this is likely where your supply is going to be. So you're setting up for a larger range. It looks like to me something like this. Let's extend that to the right. Something like this area of the chart I'd be looking for as my next resistance, going out to the 3-month. And locally, I'd want to see this low get protected at 185. It's also a local high there at 183. So yeah, you could box this little region of the chart off. Say this is the zone I want to protect. This is the zone I'm aiming for. I don't think that there's anything else to really discuss too much on. God, that's such an ugly 6-month candle. I bet the yearly candle is just even more atrocious. It is. Yeah, for Meta, if you're hanging onto this little box right here, like this gets flipped into solid support, I would expect this to turn into a target over time. I would like to see this area of the chart. This box is at like 224 to 231, and then you can play the game of, is this going to be a larger consolidation, kind of like you normally see with things. I guess Meta doesn't really do a lot of that, but this would be the next target for me, would be up here. Not even doing any like pivots, anything like that, just looking at where supply is likely to come in, where the trend got down to, where the major lows are at, and this is probably going to be it right here. Yeah, so hopefully that helps. From a TA standpoint, does it make any sense? I mean, it's ripping just like everything else. Everyone's been super bearish, and they got the discounts they wanted to. You effectively swung fail this low right here, even though this is going to be a 12-month level, right? So if we go out to the 12-month one more time, you see how you have a 12-month right here? You've come down beneath these lows. So this is your 2018 low. This is your 2019 low, okay? And then even your 2020 low right here, you can mark this off. I'm going to make this a solid line because I just don't care for the dotted too much. So just from a TA standpoint, you have to look at this and say, these are major lows, right? And we've now gone back to them. We've hit the 2018, 19, and 2020 low. You've come below them effectively. Front ran $72, which is your next major technical low. And you've put in a reversal pattern. You've come up to them. You can see you're back testing for several weeks, flagging out below resistance. Now you've impulsed through, turned it into support, and now you're targeting your next local highs, which are right here. Also going to be quarterly lows. And now you're targeting the highs of this structure if you can maintain this. If you can't maintain this area of the chart, right, just turn it into like this. Let's say it just turns into a deviation. Where are you aiming to? Back to support, right? So you're aiming to here. And then that's your next play. So hopefully that makes sense. That's how I would trade it. I would just segment this off. You could do something even more simple if you wanted to. You could do something like this. You could just map it off as a range. Say this is probably going to be the range that I'm interested in. And you could adjust it if you wanted to. If you prefer to have your EQ lining up nicer, you could adjust it till you get that, right? You could say this is probably my range right here. So you've got a nice EQ now, a low, and now we're looking to get to the highs of the range. So up to you there. I'm going to hop off though. Otherwise I will talk for a long time, and I'm not sharing my screen. So you guys didn't see any of that. Max didn't do his job and tell me at all.
Oh, I missed it. I have to watch back.
I wasn't sharing my screen, so I was actually mapping this one out for the guy, and I completely messed it up. So I do apologize there. But basically, we've just gone to the yearly chart, right? That's all we did. We always start on the yearly chart. Big, ugly candle. Okay, so here's the low from 2018. Here is your 2019 low and your 2020 low. These were areas I had on the chart that were mapped out. I had actually mapped out the yearly level right here at 128.56, but you could zone this off as a box. You've come below the level. You've actually closed on a yearly basis below it, but you opened the year above it. So you see how it is slightly above. So 123.02 or the open on this one, 122.82 is going to be pretty important. Now we go to like a 3-month. Okay, so you go to like a 3-month chart. You can see that you've got a quarterly low here from Q1. Then you've got your Q3 high right here, kind of lining up for a nice midpoint. And you can see the last time you had this big impulse off the high is right here. I would be looking at this zone as supply. When you start zooming into the monthly, you can see that you've got supply coming in here. Go to the weekly, it's even more evident. Boom. This is your last local top. Boom. And you can see this was resistance because this was quarterly lows and quarterly highs kind of combined. This zone is 183 to 185. And you are impulsing up. So the low was very evident. You came down beneath the target. You came back up, flagged out. Now you're back above it. You've even back tested it as support. Go to the daily. Look at this. It doesn't get much cleaner than that. You've come up to the level, resistance, resistance, higher lows, flat level of resistance at the highs, pseudo ascending triangle, boom, resistance at the top of it. Now it's support, and we're aiming for what? The EQ of our range or those quarterly highs. If you deviate this, as I mentioned, like let's say you don't make this move to here, let's say you just do this, you do have to be aware that you can come all the way back down, fill this gap in, back to support. So you do need to be aware of that. However, where does your stop loss go? Well, just beneath this low, right? So now you're looking for this. this move to take place. So does it make sense from a technical standpoint? Yes. If you're just trading this based on market structure, it absolutely does. And yeah, this also brings you back up to where like this local range high right here we talked about. It's more of a pseudo range high. I wouldn't call it exact, but it's going to be pretty good. Got a gap. Okay, gap right here to keep in mind. So if things flip right here, this level, this box is 224.55 up to 231.15. If the market's looking good, which the SPX is, you're looking to fill that gap. However, I think that's getting ahead of ourselves. I would trade these levels for what they are. This is being a nice range. And so what I had done for you earlier was I just said, map off the range like so. You could say this is my local high. And this is my local low. There's my EQ. You could even do something like this if you wanted to. You could say this and this right here. So now you've got a cleaner EQ. So you can just say range EQ, low. Now I'm looking to get to the highs, right? This is like the midpoint of your upper range. So hopefully that's helpful on Meta.
Sorry, mate, I was reading something off screen. I thought you were killing it, though. It sounded so good when I was listening the first time.
Yeah.
Second time was a bit hard.
He just keeps forgetting. Yeah. Sorry, guys. Yeah, my bad. That's yep. Yeah, that's funny. Yeah, that's the boomer in me, but we'll try to avoid that tonight on the altcoin live. So I am going to hop off here. I'm going to go ahead and schedule the event as soon as we get done, and I'll make a link and I'll post it on Twitter and in the group so people have it in advance, and then we'll go live this evening. Everybody have a good weekend. Like I said, go do things with real people in real life. Your internet friends like myself and Max will be here on Monday with the market open.
Real life? What?
What's that, right? All right, guys. Everybody go get girlfriends this weekend. We'll see you later.